law as I do about yoga. She hired Lone Star Land Services to handle taxes and maintenance, but they failed to deliver. Sarah paid the taxes, sure, but never checked the assessments. Big mistake. Enter Margaret Maggie Thornwell, 52, Willowbrook Estates HOA president. The kind of woman who wears tennis skirts like they're a uniform and drives a gleaming white BMW X7. Maggie's got that southern charm that's all sugar until you're choking on it. Married to City Councilman Rick Thornwell, she's got connections and a knack for beautification projects that push out anyone who doesn't fit her vision of suburban bliss. Her perfume barely covers the whiff of cigarette smoke and entitlement that trails her like a shadow. I came home in August 2023, expecting to see Pop's fields and that dam glinting under the Texas sun. Instead, I found bulldozers, concrete trucks, and survey stakes carving up my land like a Thanksgiving turkey. The air tasted like dust and betrayal as I confronted the foreman. "Sorry, pal," he said, smirking. "This is Willowbrook Estates now. We've got permits." A police officer, looking uneasy, explained the HOA had claimed adverse possession while I was deployed. It's an old law meant to prevent land from sitting unused, but developers like Maggie twist it to gobble up property. Then Maggie rolled up in her golf cart, all smiles and venom. "Your family left this land to rot, sweetie," she said, like she was doing me a favor. "We're making it useful." What really lit my fuse? Her crew had diverted the creek feeding Pop's dam, draining it daily and undoing 45 years of water management that had saved neighbors through droughts and floods. As Maggie's words echoed, "You should have stayed home, soldier," I knew this wasn't just a land grab. It was war. I hired a lawyer, mistake number one. He wanted $85,000 just to fight the zoning change Maggie's husband, Rick, had rammed through while I was overseas, flipping my land from agricultural to residential faster. I didn't say a word when they slapped that eviction notice on my table. I just pushed a faded 1923 water rights deed across the scratched wood and watched their smug faces drop. Within weeks, 35 cookie-cutter mansions in Willowbrook Estates became lakefront disasters. The HOA thought they could snatch my grandfather's farm while I was dodging bullets in Afghanistan. These self-important bureaucrats built their suburban utopia, complete with yoga moms patrolling in golf carts, on land they stole. What didn't they know? I'm an Army Corps of Engineers veteran, and the small dam on my property had been waiting 45 years for someone dumb enough to build downstream. When I opened the spillway gates, their luxury development got a lesson in gravity and federal water law. The audacity was something else. Where are you tuning in from? Drop a comment, because this is the story of the most satisfying HOA takedown, powered by engineering and justice. Let me introduce myself. Jake Morrison, 34, a third-generation owner of 47 acres of prime Texas land, located just outside Austin, and a member of the Army Corps of Engineers. My granddad, Pops, bought this place in 1955 when Austin was more about barbecue than billion-dollar startups. Pops was a man of the land, tough as mesquite, who believed in stewardship over profit. In 1978, he built a modest earth dam to store rainwater for our cattle and help downstream neighbors during droughts. The Army Corps helped design it. Solid, practical engineering. Pops always said the back 40 acres would be worth something someday. But to him, it was just rolling hills where we ran livestock and I learned to shoot. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, specializing in water systems and infrastructure. You learn fast in a war zone how vital water is, and how fiercely people fight over it. While I was overseas, Pops passed away, and the land was placed into a trust managed by my sister, Sarah, in California. She's great but knows as much about Texas land than a snake oil pitch. But my Army Corps training kicked in. While that lawyer shuffled papers, I dug through county records like I was hunting landmines. Jackpot. Pop's 1978 dam permits, drafted with the Army Corps for flood control, gave it federal jurisdiction, an HOA's worst nightmare. Here's your first knowledge bomb. Federal oversight trumps local bureaucrats every time. Then, buried in dusty courthouse files, I found a 1923 water rights deed. My great-grandfather owned senior rights to Willow Creek, older than the city, the county, and every McMansion on my land. They weren't just stealing dirt, they were stealing water. Maggie played dirty. She staged an emergency HOA meeting, complete with a news crew she'd tipped off, crying about the dangerous dam threatening kids' safety. On Nextdoor, she posted about unstable individuals without naming me, subtle as a sledgehammer. Her news segment painted me as a ticking time bomb, but she didn't count on my dam passing every safety inspection. Each night, I watched construction crews pour more foundations, each one a middle finger to Pop's legacy. The dam's water level dropped another inch daily. I called my army buddy, Tony Riggs, now with the EPA's Enforcement Division. In 20 minutes, he taught me more than my overpriced lawyer could in a year. Jake, if they're diverting a waterway without federal permits, that's a Clean Water Act violation, he said. And your dam's federal status? Untouchable. I went into full reconnaissance mode, trail cameras, timestamped photos, and flow measurements. Sarah begged me to take the HOA's lowball offer, but this wasn't about cash. It was about the sound of boots on my gravel, Maggie's heels clicking in corrupt zoning hearings, and the stale coffee I choked down while uncovering their scheme. Pop's Dam was built to help neighbors, not decorate Maggie's McMansions. Texas water rights are sacred, older than oil or mineral claims and tougher to steal if you know how to fight. Maggie upped the ante with a neighborhood safety patrol, HOA goons in polo shirts photographing my visitors and filing fake complaints. Rick even ordered a wellness check through Veteran Services, claiming I was a troubled vet. The social worker was kind but thorough, checking boxes while Maggie watched from her golf cart like a hawk. Then came the bureaucratic blitz. Building inspector, fire marshal, health department, animal control, all on the same day, slapping me with petty violations. The building inspector, Rick's bar buddy, demanded $8,000 in porch repairs. It was a classic squeeze play, like pressuring village elders in a war zone. But I had my own moves. Tony confirmed the HOA's creek diversion violated federal law, with fines starting at $50,000 a day. I found their Achilles heel. The entire development sat in a 100-year floodplain. The HOA's flood mitigation plan? Divert the creek to flood my land instead. Here's knowledge bomb 2. Lying about flood risks for insurance is federal mail fraud, with prison time. Maggie had pulled this stunt before. Her Houston HOA paid a $2.3 million EPA fine for the same trick. She thought she'd outrun the feds by moving to Austin. Maggie's smear campaign escalated. She hired a PI to dig into my military record and spread rumors about my violent tendencies. Her Nextdoor posts warned of a troubled veteran threatening kids. Meanwhile, I built a coalition. Mrs. Chun, my elderly neighbor, lost her family garden to the creek diversion. Miguel Santos, whose farm was zoned out of existence by Rick, joined us. Online forums revealed Maggie's HOA had swallowed 6 properties in 3 years using the same playbook: harassment, bureaucracy, and shady zoning changes. I documented everything: 1,200 gallons of stolen water daily, worth $47,000 a year. The city tried to seize my land via eminent domain, citing public safety. Maggie's newspaper quote was smug: "Sometimes you protect the community from itself." But as storm clouds gathered, I saw my chance. Maggie went all in, fast-tracking an eminent domain hearing and offering $180,000 for land worth $890,000. The local paper ran a hit piece, "Troubled Veteran Blocks Progress," with a doctored photo making my farmhouse look like a meth lab. Maggie staged a photo op with worried moms near my property. Hashtags like #ProtectOurKids flooding social media. But Tony dropped a bombshell. The EPA was already investigating Maggie's creek diversion, linked to her Houston fines. Her development's loans depended on fraudulent water access claims. If I reclaimed my water rights, their financial empire would collapse. Maggie offered $400,000 cash to shut me up, then tried to manipulate Sarah with sob stories about my mental health. Sarah laughed her off. "If you contact us again, I'm calling the FBI." I teamed up with Amanda Cross, a pro bono environmental lawyer. We rallied downstream farmers, the Audubon Society, and Miguel's family, who proved the creek's historical use since 1887. Mrs. Chen's old photos showed her garden thriving before Maggie's theft. My nighttime recon uncovered Pop's Dam secret. a 1978 emergency spillway system, untouched since 1982, designed for controlled flooding. I calculated 2.8 million gallons would restore the creek's path. My dam held 3.1 million. Perfect. Maggie's crew installed concrete barriers to block the creek permanently, handing me legal justification. With heavy September rains looming, I planned a controlled spillway release. A 1978 covenant required me to maintain natural flood patterns, trumping HOA claims. Amanda uncovered the HOA's insurance fraud, $47 million in coverage based on lies about flood risks. Knowledge Bomb 3, insurance fraud, is a federal crime with mandatory prison time. Rick's construction company was the HOA's primary investor, and he never recused himself from council votes. The EPA confirmed the creek diversion killed protected Guadalupe base, a federal offense. Amanda's banking contacts exposed fraudulent loan assessments claiming temporary creek diversions. If I restored the water, the banks could demand $12 million in immediate loan repayments. Pop's journals, found in the attic, broke my heart. A 1980 entry read, "Opened spillway today. Saved Santos Farm and 3 others. That's what neighbors do." This wasn't about profit, it was about community. Maggie's diversion created upstream flood risks, but my spillway could fix it. With rains approaching, I had to act fast to avoid uncontrolled flooding. This was no reckless flood, it was a military operation. Amanda filed a motion to enforce the dam's covenant. Tony ensured EPA agents would witness the natural flooding demonstration. Miguel documented 40 years of agricultural damage. Mrs. Chun offered her land for staging. We posted warnings, notified the fire department, and invited media to frame it as water restoration, not sabotage. Maggie escalated predictably. Emergency HOA meetings, smear campaigns, a restraining order through her corrupt judge friend. Amanda countered every move. I documented sabotage attempts. Her goons poured concrete into my spillway at 2 a.m., caught on camera. The sheriff arrested them for tampering with federal infrastructure. Maggie's TV appearance painted me as a water weapon terrorist, but my damn safety record shut her down. Rick declared my property a public hazard, ordering the fire department to intervene. Fire Chief Martinez, an honest man, gave me a 6-hour heads-up. Amanda's fraud reports froze the HOA's insurance, halting construction. Maggie's last-ditch effort? A VA psych hold claiming I was suicidal. I talked down the social worker at 5:30 a.m. while prepping the spillway. Sarah's call nearly broke me. This isn't what Pops would want. But Pop's final journal entry about standing up to bullies steeled my resolve. At 7:02 a.m., with federal agents watching, I opened the spillway to 25% capacity. The water's gentle hum was music, flowing back to its natural bed. Miguel wept, cupping creek water. This fed my grandfather's farm. Maggie screamed terrorism on a Facebook Live, but EPA agent Kim calmly noted my legal rights. News helicopters captured the creek's restoration, not destruction. The reporter shut Maggie down. How is water in its natural bed an attack? Rick's recorded rant about property values sealed his fate. Texas one-party consent law made it admissible. The EPA confirmed the flow matched historical patterns. Mrs. Chen's garden bloomed. Downstream farms revived. Maggie's supporters slunk away as no homes flooded. The HOA's loans collapsed when insurance was voided. Federal agents arrested Rick's concrete truck drivers for interfering with an EPA investigation, a felony. In court, Maggie's high-dollar lawyers claimed $2.7 million in flood damage. Amanda countered with the 1978 covenant and EPA testimony proving no harm. Miguel and Mrs. Chen's emotional stories, lost farms, withered gardens, swayed the room. Rick's recorded admission of zoning fraud and his financial stake in the development tanked their case. A federal prosecutor announced a RICO investigation for interstate water fraud. Judge Walsh, cornered, ruled my spillway legal and ordered the HOA to stand down. Rick pleaded guilty to conspiracy, getting 3 years. Maggie faced $8.7 million in fines and bankruptcy. The HOA dissolved, replaced by a community group focused on stewardship. My land's value hit $1.2 million with its environmental designation. I used a $340,000 settlement to buy Miguel's farm at auction and return it to him. Knowledge bomb 4. Restoration often outvalues development. The creek now draws kayakers, birdwatchers, and fishers. Mrs. Chen's garden is a sustainability model. Guadalupe Base returned in 4 months. The Audubon Society documented 12 bird species thriving. Texas Parks and Wildlife protected the creek permanently. My spillway operation is now an Army Corps case study. I renovated Pop's farmhouse sustainably. Sarah moved back to help with our ecotourism business. Amanda and I, fighting for justice builds strong bonds. The Willow Creek model sparked statewide water rights fights. I consult for communities battling HOAs. We started the Pops Morrison Scholarship. Miguel's daughter, Maria, is studying environmental engineering. Every Sunday, I bring creek water to Pop's grave. The creek's singing again. I tell him, the Willow Creek Conservation Trust ensures it stays free. Maggie's Houston HOA faced RICO charges, inspiring 147 families nationwide to fight back. From my porch, watching the creek flow, I know some fights are worth everything. If you're battling HOA greed or environmental theft, document everything, find allies, and fight. The law's on your side when you're protecting the land. Share your HOA horror story below. I read everyone. Subscribe for more tales of communities winning against corruption. Next week, the city that tried to steal my neighbor's solar farm, so she cut power to City Hall during the mayor's wedding. Water finds a way, justice finds a way, and communities that fight together win together. Willow Creek flows free, y'all, and it always will.